It's Wednesday, September 18th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we learn more about Representative Whelan's work in the Statehouse this fall and get a preview of an exciting fall lineup of activities at the Adult Community Center. Now for a look at municipal and legislative notes. Tuesday was a special day for the Red Raiders varsity football team and head coach Ross Giacola, who accepted the New England Patriots Coach of the Week award from former linebacker and NFL Hall of Famer Andre Tippett. Tippett, Executive Director of Community Affairs, visited the Barnstable High School to present the Raiders football program with a $1,000 donation on behalf of the New England Patriots Foundation in honor of Coach Giacola. The visit and check presentation will be featured on the Patriots Weekly television show, Patriots All Access, which airs on Friday night at 7 p.m. on WBZ-TV in Boston and will be available immediately after on patriots.com. Bills filed, budgets supplemented, bridges named, all in a day's work for Representative Tim Whelan. He joins us in studio for an update. Everyone's back at Beacon Hill, and there's lots of work to be done. With me today, Representative Tim Whelan. Tim, welcome back to the show.
Paula, it's always so much fun to come here and see you, talk about what's going on at work, and my God, it's been a beautiful summer, hasn't it?
It really has.
Yeah.
Did you have a good one? Had some time to relax?
Had a great one. My wife and I got to spend some time together. Our kids who live off Cape, they came down to visit us, and you know, a lot of time with the family, and family's everything.
Excellent, fantastic. So you went right back to work. You know, lots of things happening, obviously, with budgets and bills being filed. Tell us what you're up to.
Sure. Just filed a bill yesterday. Talk about timeliness.
Sure.
And what this bill does is, the intent of the bill is to enhance the penalties for people who attend protests and commit criminal acts while wearing a mask. This would be something like what we saw up in Boston a couple of weeks ago, when there were counter-protesters that were throwing rocks, they were attacking the police, and they were throwing bottles with liquids like human urine at the marchers and at the police officers and first responders who were there. I filed the bill on the House side. My good friend, Senator Dean Tran from Fitchburg, he filed it over on the Senate side. And like I said, it's brand new. Hit the press this morning. We filed it yesterday. We're expecting a lot of support. We've consulted with district attorneys. We've consulted with the Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association and other groups who are involved in making sure that we're safe and ensuring the public safety, to ensure that this is effective and, most importantly, that it's constitutional. So it's in the co-sponsorship period. I'd ask your viewers, if you want to reach out to your legislators and ask them if they would co-sponsor our bill, and act relative to public safety at public events. It would be very helpful to help us get this done. I think it's common sense legislation.
Right.
Keep people safe.
And let's talk a little bit. It's an enhancement to something that's already on the books, correct?
Well, what it is if you throw a rock at someone, there's already an offense for it. So what
Right.
we're doing is we're adding an additional fine that if you do that while masked at a public event, that there would be an enhanced penalty. And I believe off the top of my head, it's a $1,500 fine and up to 1 year in jail. Okay. There are different stages based upon the severity of the crime. And there's precedent for this, because already, having learned this from my years in police work, if you commit armed robbery while masked, there's an enhanced penalty for being masked while committing that armed robbery. So this is not virgin territory that we're entering here. There's already precedent for it in state law. And Senator Tran, who did an awful lot of work on this, him and his staff, they went and they researched like statutes in, I believe it was about a dozen other states. So okay. I think that we're well grounded on this, and now we just need the support to try and get this done, and let's keep people safe.
Right. And I have one other question on that, too. Sure. With this particular bill. Is this for, obviously, to keep public safety officials safe, but is it for identity purposes as well, to actually prosecute them for the crime?
Yep. And okay. That's exactly it. It's the idea that the Boston Herald, the day after the protests, interviewed one of the counter-protesters who stated that he was wearing a mask specifically so that he couldn't be identified for and be held accountable for the crimes that he was committing. When you give someone that sort of anonymity, I mean, the lid just gets blown off on the level of criminality and violence that they're willing to bring forth, and it results in injuries or worse, results in damage to innocent persons' property. And let's face it, if you want to counter-protest, that's what the First Amendment's all about. Go out, speak your piece, and if you don't like what's being said, speak your piece over here. But you don't have the right anywhere to attack someone or damage their property because you disagree with them. That's wrong all day long.
Right. Excellent. And then something that obviously is near and dear to our veterans community, there's a bridge naming.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that.
So there was a gentleman who was born in 1928 in Yarmouthport. He's a son of the Cape. His name was Ori Sampson. Corporal United States Army in 1952 while serving our great nation over in North Korea. His unit was overrun by Chinese troops, and he was never seen again. He was declared missing in 1952, and he was declared presumed dead, presumed KIA in 1953. So a number of folks from AMVETS Post 333, of which I'm a member, they came to me and they proposed the idea of naming the bicycle bridge in South Yarmouth, which it goes over Station Ave, naming it after Corporal Sampson. And when they came and they explained to me the story of Corporal Sampson, and he still has family that lives here locally on the Cape, it just seemed like the right thing to do. We can never forget the service of our great veterans and those who have fallen in the field of battle, and we certainly can't forget those whose remains were never brought home to their families. And this seemed to, it was a forgotten war, the Korean War. Our MIAs are too often forgotten. This is a way to bring that back out. Call attention to this brave man, Corporal Sampson's service on our behalf, his sacrifice, and let him and his family, let our veteran community know that, and those who are actively serving, that they will never be forgotten.
Right. And to name bridges like that, that actually is a bill filed to do that?
Yep. So we filed the bill about a month and a half ago, and we're just waiting for it. It was assigned to the Joint Committee on Transportation, and I have a number of good friends over there who I have really solid relationships with, built on trust, and I'm going to be lobbying them to see if we can get this scheduled for a hearing. We'll open up the invitation to the family members or members of the veterans community to come up and testify if they choose to, and we're going to hopefully get this thing done, and let's get this bridge named for a brave American who gave us all on the battlefield on our behalf.
All right, excellent. And then budget. It seems like being in municipal government, that's all we ever do is talk about budgets, because the cycle even here at Town Hall, we're already into the 2021 budget, 2020. It's a never-ending cycle, but we've passed the budget, but now there's a supplemental budget. Tell us a little bit about that.
The words of Roger Waters and Pink Floyd, money, 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 rings true. When you're in the government business, it's all about the money, and it's the people's money. It's not our money, it's the money, it's the hard-earned money from the taxpayers. So we have to manage it as best we can. And what's happened is, in FY19, the state just saw an awful lot, basically a windfall in taxes come in. The economy is booming. Because of that, the stock market's going great. Capital gains taxes, employment taxes, unemployment's down. Everything's moving. The Commonwealth took in close to somewhere in the ballpark of $1 billion in additional revenue above and beyond what our initial revenue projections were for FY19. So we have a closeout budget that we're in the process of working on right now. The closeout budget, it's somewhere in the area of about $600 million, and about half of that or so is slated to go to the rainy day fund, which will get our rainy day fund north of $3 billion, or at $3 billion. That's going to be important to save money, to keep our bond rating as high as it is and keep it up there. That saves us a ton of money. There's also going to be some income tax deductions that we're proposing, that the governor's proposing going forward as well because of these revenues that are coming in. And I think the thing that he's proposing, which I strongly support, is that we would double the deduction for dependents from $1,000 per dependent to $2,000 for each dependent, so that we're getting tax relief for young families. That's where I think some of that money, I mean, we all remember when we had young families, I do too, and it's, they need that money. The other thing that we're looking to include in here as well, and you certainly can't count your chickens before they hatch, is we've taken information from all the towns that were affected by the tornadoes that came through to find out what the costs were to the municipalities. Barnstable, Yarmouth, Dennis, Harwich, Chatham, Mashpee, the Sheriff's Department, anybody who had any sort of a loss to their municipal budget. So we've compiled all that, we put it together in a spreadsheet, we provided it to House leadership, and also to House Ways and Means. I have to thank my good friend Representative Sarah Peak for a lot of that. Her and her office did a ton of the work putting this together. And we're going to be submitting as a Cape and Islands delegation an amendment to get 100% reimbursement to the cities and to the towns that are affected, and that will save some money for our local municipal taxpayers. That's what we get sent up there to do, and I'm glad that we're going to be able to get this done.
Right. So that particular piece is really important too, because it was not designated by the federal government
Correct.
as whatever they want to designate it as. It wasn't as big a tragedy as they thought it was, or something to that effect.
We needed to hit a $9.6 million mark. The mark that we hit was more 4.2, 4.4, somewhere in that window. The only thing too, though, is if we were reimbursed by FEMA, the municipalities would be reimbursed at 80%. We're setting it up so that the state will reimburse it 100%, so that the cleanup and the cost from the DPW, police, and fire overtime and everything else, that will be borne by the state. We did it for the Springfield area after the tornadoes that went through there. We did the same thing. We gave $10 million to the Merrimack Valley after the tragic gas explosions they had up there last year. And I feel very strongly that we will get this done, and the state will step up to make sure that our taxpayers aren't held liable for Mother Nature's fury that we experienced here.
Right, because that money's got to come from somewhere else.
Exactly right.
Fantastic.
Exactly right.
Great work, Tim.
Thank you so much, Paula. It's always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to come in here and talk with you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Walks and talks, virtual visits, and a whole lot more is happening this fall at the Barnstable Adult Community Center. Director Madeline Noonan joins us in studio with the highlights. The weather has definitely cooled down. It's time to get back outdoors and commune with nature. Well, you know what? The Barnstable Adult Community Center has lots of activities, from nature walks right through to talks. With me today, the executive director of Barnstable Adult Community Center. It's starting to roll off the tongue a little bit more. Yeah. Madeline Noonan, you are really literally just jumping right into fall with all your programming.
Yeah, it never stops for us, Paula. As you know, there's one thing, another, there's multiple things going on all the time. I mean, there's such a hustle and bustle of activity every day at the center. But fall is great. Like we know on Cape Cod we don't exactly get the best winters, and I think the Old Farmer's Almanac is predicting a pretty harsh and frigid winter this year. So we're really trying to impart to people that spend as much time outdoors now while you can. I mean, the summer can be a little hot and humid to really do a lot of stuff outdoors. Fall's perfect. I mean, look at this. Who wants to be indoors on these beautiful days? And we recently launched an outdoor adventure program, which was something that we had wanted to do for a while, but we didn't have a dedicated staff person to do it. And then we hired Diane Francis to do our evening program activities, and we had some funding that gave her some additional hours that we thought, well, Diane's got great energy, she loves being outdoors, and so she's basically developed this program now where we're scheduling little trips, and it's a great way to discover Cape Cod. So recently they just did a trip to Crow's Farm in Sandwich. They did a trip with LL Bean doing bird watching around Eagle Pond. There's a trip coming up to Sandy Neck that has over 30 people signed up, so there's clearly an interest in this. Just for people to get outdoors, but also to have that connection with other people, where for some folks they might not want to go for a walk alone, but when you're doing it as part of a group, it's a lot more fun and meaningful experience. So perfect fall season to get outside. There's going to be a trip to a cranberry bog in Harwich. We're going to stroll along the Cape Cod Canal, and also one of my favorite places on the Cape, which it's amazing how many people have never heard of it or have never been there, is the Knob out in Falmouth. It's a beautiful spot, and we're also going to pair with that a trip to Spore Gardens, which is a place I just discovered a couple of months ago, because I saw somebody had posted some beautiful pictures on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, nice flowers out there, and it will be lovely in the fall. So it's just really nice for us to be able to extend our programming beyond the four walls of the facility and to get people out and moving, because that's all what healthy and successful aging is all about, is to keep active in every way.
Right, and when we talk about some of the places that folks are going to go, are you providing transportation
Yeah.
there? How does the programs work?
Yeah, so for, there's an option where either people can meet there, carpool, or when available, our van will be providing transportation for some folks. Obviously, we've got some people who can't drive, and we
Right.
want to make sure, that we're able to get them out and about, because it's a sense of, again, connection, and it's so important to, be able to enjoy the beautiful outdoor surroundings that we're so fortunate to live on this beautiful place. So we want to make sure that there's access for people to get there. The only thing that I would caution and encourage is that people sign up quick, because this is very popular, and some of these activities are going to fill up, especially with our vans, where there's only certain numbers of people that we can accommodate on the vehicles.
Right, and they don't have to be fit to climb Mount Washington, but
no, we're not doing, this is more for active older adults. So for
Right.
people that maybe have some mobility issues, there would be challenges on some of the trails that we're doing. Honestly, I would just recommend that people just give us a call, and
Right.
at 508-862-4750, and we can just kind of let them know. But it's just, again, look, we just released
Right.
our October-November issue of the Compass, and we have, this is a picture of a recent trip that we took, and you can just see it's wonderful for us to be able to
Right.
show, this outdoor element that we really haven't been able to dedicate resources to in the past.
Right, and the Cape is just so beautiful at this
Yeah.
time
Oh,
of
yeah.
year. They should bring their cameras.
Yes, absolutely bring your camera, because it might be a future cover picture.
Right.
Definitely cranberry bog I see at some point next fall.
Right.
But I think it's just a commitment to us always trying to do new things and be responsive to what the community wants from us. So, and already we're hearing about, new connections and friendships being made. And so, part of our hope is that as people meet each other and, get connected and expand their social circles, that this is something that they can just, schedule their own outdoor
Right.
activities, so we're excited where this is going to take us.
Right, and these aren't just the only programs. If folks want to sign up for these, they can go out to the website, they can look at the Compass
Yes.
and call you, but definitely there's so many other programs that are going there. You've got a couple of new ones
Yeah.
that are really interesting. The self-defense one that I just read about was just something totally different.
Yeah, the Krav Maga, which is something that was actually quite new to us until fairly recently, came about because last year we had done a pretty extensive survey, and we asked people the kind of activities that they wanted. And again, this is where the more outdoor activities came from. And we had, when we were reviewing all of the suggestions, there were many pages and pages, which was great. But in 3 separate places, people had written Krav Maga. And so
KRAVMAGA.
And so
okay.
it was like I asked our activity coordinator, Susan Griffin, have you heard of what's Krav Maga? And when we looked it up, we found out that it's a form of self-defense that is used to train the Israeli Defense Forces. So actually what had also come up besides Krav Maga was people wanted self-defense. I think there's really this sense of,
Right.
Wanting to be able to protect yourself. You never know where you could be or what could happen, and sort of having those skills, is a very beneficial a skill for people to have regardless of their age. So we were very interested, but obviously it wasn't an easy thing to find, somebody to
Right.
teach it. But we were lucky to partner with Cape Cod Krav Maga, and they actually came in a couple of months ago and did an initial session, and it was
Right.
amazing. I mean, when we're talking about trying to be more of a multi-generational facility, this really was, because we actually had a mother and daughter that signed up to take this class
Oh.
together. So there were people of different generations in there, and we felt like this is something that clearly there's a need for. So we're very excited that we're going to be doing this in October through November. It's going to be an evening class. So for a lot of people that are working or maybe not available to come in during the day, this is something that we would encourage. We've got excellent trainers, and it's a great way to have more self-confidence in your ability to protect yourself and develop those skills, but it's also great fitness. So we would highly encourage people, if they want to call us, we can give them more information on that. We also have, in addition to that, we're trying to do more dance classes. So beyond the traditional, we have 20 plus fitness classes that we offer. But we always want to try and offer new things. So we've got a Argentine tango. I know this from watching Dancing with the Stars,
Right.
and it always looks like so intense. But we're very excited that that's something that we're going to be offering.
Right.
So if there's any couples out there that kind of feel like a little, interest in doing something that has a lot of passion, but also something that's really good learning, you know, having to learn dance steps and improve your coordination and have fun. And,
Oh, that's,
you know,
the feet are connected to the mind.
I have 2 left feet, so I don't think I'll be trying this one out right now, but my husband loves to dance. But so, yeah, it's like, you know, but again, this is us trying to say, look, you know, there's a lot going on at the Barnstable Adult Community Centre.
Right.
So we want to see that be successful, and we're offering an information session that people can come in and just find out about it and see if it's the right fit for them before they sign up for the whole activity.
That's fantastic. And one of the activities that we noticed over the last few years here at Barnstable Recreation has been archery.
Yeah.
The whole Harry Potter and you know, Hunger Games has made this resurgence of an activity that was required in my gym class back in the 70s, but you're going to offer archery.
Yeah, this is really cool. It kind of ties into the self-defense. If we ever have to fend for ourselves, you know, you got archery, you got self-defense, we're all set.
Senior Hunger Games?
Yeah, right. Oh, well, maybe not right now, but we could be going in that direction. No, archery was something that we saw, you know, Recreation offer, and it's really one of their most popular activities.
It is.
And I think it's just, again, one of those things where, why does it just have to be for the youth, you know? I mean, there could be an interest here for our older adult population for this program. So this is a partnership that we're doing with the Recreation Department. George Noonan, the program coordinator over there, is going to be coming over and doing 4 sessions, really to see if there's an interest in this. It's an evening class, so it's going to be like, you know, 5 to 6 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays in October. And, you know, why not give it a shot? Give it a shot, pardon the pun, but why not try it out, you know?
Exactly.
And see if you're a good aim or not. But I think it would just be, for us again, we're able to do this on our grounds. It's a nice way for us to utilize the great space that we have around the facility and do more outdoor programming on site, which is something that we're really trying to develop a long-term vision for. You know, some of the areas that we have, we've got a pond behind the facility, which is beautiful, that we'd love to put a nature trail in there. You know, pickleball is another thing that we hear a lot about, potentially adding a pickleball court to the ground. So we're going to be doing a lot more dialogue about that, you know, just exploring how we can work to enhance the grounds and really maximize not just the indoor space, but also the outdoor space. Very exciting.
Right. So if folks have suggestions, how should they communicate those to you?
So we are all, when I say all of us, our entire team at the Adult Community Centre are open ears, you know, and we're always willing to try something out. And over the years, there have been times where we've, you know, had interest expressed in a certain thing, where we've tried to get it going. And then not everything is successful. Sometimes it's just about the timing. It's about building an interest group, you know, that you know, or having somebody who's willing to facilitate. You know, for us, we want to make sure that everything that we do, if we're putting resources into it, you know, and time into it, that there's going to be a payoff. And sometimes it does take some time to build some programs. You know, for example, one of the things that we're doing now, which is, you know, becoming more and more successful the more that we offer it, is our Senior Learning Network program. So, you know, through this, we are able to offer learning experiences where it doesn't, you know, like it's not the traditional have a presenter come in and speak to a group in the room. We are connecting with people all across the country. So it's virtual learning is basically what we call it. So we have a big clear touch screen where we're able to go use all this great technology. We have this Zoom room that we set up where we can actually engage directly with people anywhere, any place. So like just last week we had a presentation on pioneering women in history with the university in Texas. It was fascinating. We also just recently visited a National Historic Site in Kansas called Fort Larned, where we learned all about the Buffalo Soldiers. We visited California State Parks, and coming up we have, in October, we're going to be visiting Texas to learn all about rehabilitating sea turtles.
Oh, cool.
So this is in real time, you know, that our participants coming in can actually ask questions and speak. It's an amazing way to learn, and it's new because of the technology. And then we're also going to be visiting Alaska to learn about their gray wolves up there and meeting a gray wolf. So again, it's, you know, it's new, and sometimes the technology can be a little glitchy at times, but for the feedback that we've received is that people just love that, you know, we're sort of going beyond the walls, you know, as sort of like saying, we don't want to just offer traditional programs. We want to look at new ways to engage people, and that's very exciting for us.
Great. You're thriving inside and outside
Always
at the
thriving.
Barnstable Adult
That's
Community
the key
Center.
word. You got it.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Madeline.
Thanks, Paula.
Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Join us for Saturday Sounds at the Hyannis Harbor. Live music at the High Arts Artist Shanties, Bismarck Park, 180 Ocean Street in Hyannis, every Saturday through October 12th, 2 to 3 p.m. Bring your beach chairs or blankets to the High Arts Artist Shanties at Bismarck Park. Saturday afternoons, now through October. Bands rotate each week. The free hour-and-a-half concerts begin at 2 p.m. in the grassy area alongside the Artist Shanties. The Artist Shanties are currently open daily, 11 through 6 p.m. Visitors will find something handmade, hand-designed, or handcrafted by local artists at the High Arts Shanties in 2 locations along the walkway to the sea at the Harbor Overlook and Bismarck Park. The Artist Shanties are currently open 7 days a week. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works. For you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.